Hi students, this is Mr. Eckert. We're going to go through Target C18, which says by the time you take the test, you should be able to describe the steps in the light and dark reactions of the photosynthesis equation in terms of inputs and outputs. So there's basically, what this is saying is there's two parts to the photosynthesis equation. Remember from the previous target, that's a chemical reaction. So there's two parts of it. There's what's called the light-dependent reactions and a light independent reactions, which is sometimes referred to as the dark reaction. So the light dependent reactions, of course, by its name, happen in the light. It requires light. You have to have light in order for these set of reactions to occur. So what exactly happens? Well, the light energy is absorbed by pigments. Remember, we talked about those. We talked about how pigments absorb that light energy in the first target, C17. So here we go. Some of the pigments that plants have, you know they have chlorophyll. There's two kinds of chlorophyll. There's a chlorophyll A and a chlorophyll B. They absorb mostly the red and blue light. Remember, white light is made up of the Roy G. Biv colors of light. So they're absorbing, chlorophyll A and B absorb mostly red and blue, and they reflect green and yellow. That's why plants, most all plants, look green, because that's the chlorophyll that's reflecting that green or greenish yellow light. Now, an example of another pigment that is found in plants is one called carotenoids. Carotenoids, that pigment absorbs blue, green, and green light and reflects red, yellow, and orange. So, that's pretty easy to remember because carotenoids kind of sounds like carrots. Carrots, of course, are orange. That's why they're orange, because they have a high amount of carotenoid pigment in them, and that's the color of light that is being reflected. So what does the plant do with that light energy? Remember, light is a form of energy. So it's absorbing those colors that it absorbs. Of course, whatever's reflected, it can't use that light. So what's absorbed is used to split water molecules. Remember, plants need water. Okay, why? Well, they split it using light energy. And you can see, if you look at the chemical formula for water, if you split it, you're going to get oxygen. Oxygen is a gas that's then released, and you're going to get hydrogen. And the hydrogen is actually in form of hydrogen ions, which are almost like little tiny energy packets. So those hydrogen ions are then used to make a molecule called ATP and NADPH, which are both higher forms of energy molecules. You might think of them as maybe D batteries, whereas the hydrogen ions are like AAA batteries. So these are higher forms of energy molecules. They're going to be used later in what's known as the light independent or the dark reactions. So what happens in the dark reactions or the light independent reactions? Well, these can occur with or without light. So the light dependent and the light independent reactions can occur simultaneously. So those energy molecules that were made in the light reaction, remember ATP and NADPH, they're going to be used to change the CO2 into glucose. So that's what occurs in the dark reaction, the ATP and NADPH. Now, we're leaving out a lot of steps, a lot of chemical equations, a lot of chemistry that if we went into it, it would just make it all the more confusing. So basically what you need to know for this target is what goes in, what comes out. Well, light obviously goes in. It's being used to split water. You're going to get hydrogen, you're going to get oxygen. The hydrogen is used then to make ATP and NADPH, and that is used to change the carbon dioxide into glucose. So here you can kind of see an overview of that. The light reaction, the light is going to split the water. That produces oxygen, and then the hydrogen ions are used to make ATP and NADPH. In the light independent reaction, which is also called the Calvin cycle, that carbon dioxide along with the ATP and NADPH is used to make glucose. Now I want to go back to the photosynthesis equation. If you look at this equation, remember this consists of the light reactions and dark reactions, or light independent and light dependent reactions. So think about what we just said. The light dependent reaction uses sunlight. If you go back in your notes and you circle sunlight, so we're thinking about, okay, what happens in the light reactions? Well, light is used to split this right here, water. When we split water in two, what do we get? Oh, we get this over here. Okay, that's the oxygen. Now we also, what's not shown in the photosynthesis reaction is you get those hydrogen ions, which are used to make ATP and NADPH. But look what you have circled. You've circled the oxygen, which is produced. You've circled the light, energy, which is used to split the water. So look what's not circled. What is not circled is what happens in the light independent reaction. In the light independent reaction, the carbon dioxide is turned into glucose. So if you can remember, if you can write down the chemical formula for photosynthesis, and then remember, okay, the light reaction, well, it obviously involves sunlight. You're going to have to remember that the sunlight is used to split the water. And if you can remember by writing down H2O, oh, well, when you split water, you're of course going to get oxygen. So you'd circle that over here. And then what you don't have circled is the dark reaction. Carbon dioxide is changed into glucose. So that's it for that target. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask.